years of age. Running a small but wealthy and strategically important country required a constant balancing act on both the domestic and international fronts. Raoul tugged at his high, gold-encrusted collar. You could use one of these jackets as an implement of torture. Louis had been king for almost 3 decades, so he barely noticed the discomfort. Raoul had been born just before Louis was crowned and therefore was less practiced. The collars are meant to force you to stand straight, Louis said, to impress your loyal subjects with your strong backbone and authority. And your ability to endure strangulation. Raoul made a comical face. Despite the joking complaint, Louis was struck by how much his son had matured in the last couple of years. Guilt over his cousin Gabriel's kidnapping had toughened Raoul, even though he bore no blame for the terrible crime. As a father, Louis wished Raoul had not been forced to learn in such a harsh way about the burden of being the heir to the throne. The position he was born into meant that people would put themselves in harm's way for him, as Gabriel had, whether Raoul wished them to or not. As the king, Louis appreciated the fact that Raoul was now better prepared for his future. In fact, his son was already taking on some of Louis's lesser duties and excelling at them. He was ready for more. The door opened again. 5 minutes, the same young woman said with another curtsy before she dashed away. Sparks of energy fizzled through Louis's blood. Let's go give them hell. Raoul reached for the doorknob, but the door swung open before he could grasp it. Su Alteza Real, Su Majestad. Miquel Silva, the behind-the-scenes head of security for the royal family, bowed to Raoul and more deeply to Louis. The man somehow managed to make his formal greetings both respectful and ironic. As always, he was dressed in a dark suit, white shirt, and sober red tie. My apologies for disturbing you at a critical moment, but we have an urgent situation. I have an important speech to give, Louis pointed out, although Miquel knew that, of course. Yes, Signor, Miquel said. However, you need to read this. He held out a plain white envelope. What is it? Louis asked as he accepted the envelope. A letter from Odette Fontaine. Louis hated only 3 people in the world, a surprisingly small number given how long he had been king. Odette Fontaine was number 1 on his list because she had orchestrated the kidnapping and maiming of his nephew and had tried to murder his son. Cold fury at the woman whipped through him. What the hell does Odette want? Read the letter, Signor, Miquel said. I have already, and would recommend you do so in private. The only other people in the room were Raoul and Bruno, 2 men Louis trusted with his life. If Miquel felt they should be excluded, the letter must be explosive. Will you excuse us, Louis said. Although Raoul stiffened, he and Bruno took Louis's request for the command it was and exited the salon. The envelope was not sealed. Louis yanked the single page of paper out and unfolded it. He recognized Odette's slanted handwriting. 29 years before, after his wife's death, Louis had made the mistake of having a 6-month relationship with the French woman. Disgust at his stupidity fanned his anger. My dearest Louis, remember the drive back to the palace after Le Duc de Monton's ball? There were consequences. One consequence, at any rate. You have a child. We need to discuss this immediately, or I will release the news to the media within 1 hour of the time I hand this letter to the prison warden. He is aware of its urgency. Your ever devoted, Odette. He reached back into his memories of that turbulent time. The ball had been a private celebration, not a state occasion, so he had taken Odette as his partner. She had worn a dark blue dress that clung to every curve, which meant she could wear no undergarments underneath it, a fact she reminded him of in a throaty whisper at every opportunity. She also had spent the evening touching him.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.